Ladies and gentlemen, can I request that we find our seats so that we can start? For those of us that are just coming in, kindly find your seats so that we can get started. Still waiting for some of us to find our seats in a minute so that we can start. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. All right, thank you very much for showing up this morning on yet a critical assignment, not only for the key partners, that is ABI Finance and the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, but also a national agenda that talks about sustainability. My name is Gava Ibrahim, and I'll be your host for this half of the morning. And I want to make sure that we keep the program very short so that you can be able to catch up with your other assignments at office. Allow me quickly dive into the protocol for this morning, and thus everyone that should be able to come and use the podium should be able to use this very, very protocol. Allow me start by recognizing the Director Supervision Department from the Bank of Uganda, together with the staff of Bank of Uganda that are here with us, the Deputy Ambassador of the Royal Danish Embassy, that is RDE, Program Coordinator of the European Union, Board Chairperson, ABI Finance and Development Limited, the Board Chairperson, Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, the Chief Executive Officer of ABI Finance, the Chief Executive Officer of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, government and regulators here present, starting with Bank of Uganda, the Microfinance Regulatory Desk under Ministry of Finance, the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. I've seen the leadership of capital markets, together with USE, Securities Exchange, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, National Environment and Management Authority, National Curriculum Development Center, who have been key partners in developing the Sustainable Finance Curriculum, development partners that play a critical role in terms of technical guidance and finance of these activities, the Royal Danish Embassy, the European Union Delegation to Uganda, UNFCCC Regional Collaboration Center, International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, Global Green Growth Institute, the United Nations Capital Development Fund, Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, Apex bodies here present, starting with the body that brings all bankers together, the Uganda Bankers Association, the Association of Microfinance Institutions of Uganda, AMFIU, because technology is an enabler and an accelerator. In the same spirit, allow me to recognize the Financial Technology Service Providers Association, FITSPA, the Uganda Cooperative Savings and Credit Unions Limited, UCOSCO. Everything we are talking about today, they are key players that make it move. And these are the banks And these are the microfinance institutions, credit institutions. Those are that deposit taking and non-deposit taking. Allow me also recognize all members, without being specific, all members of the Uganda Bankers Association are here present. I've seen some of the CEOs here present for those institutions, and we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Academic institutions that have partnered with us on this journey as ABI and UIBFS. In no particular order, allow me to start with Makerere University, specifically the College of Business and Management Sciences, COBAMS, Makerere University Business School, the Economic Policy Research Center, still from Makerere University, the Agricultural Policy Research Center, still from Makerere University, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. All these participated in our stakeholder engagement while we're building up to making sure that the curriculum is fit to serve this country. And the Uganda Energy Credit Capitalization Company, and finally, SNV Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, above is the protocol, and that means that everyone that ascends to come and speak, you are at liberty to adopt that protocol. Can each one of you officially welcome your neighbor to the launch of the Sustainable Finance Program by saying good morning and welcome? If your neighbor doesn't greet you with a smile, change table. Don't just change seat. It means that you're not highly welcome. You need to change and get to a place where they will smile for you a little bit more. First things first, I want to request each one of you on the table that has not yet scanned the QR code to quickly scan the QR code. Get out your phone and quickly scan the QR code, because by scanning, you'll register. For those of you that have noticed, we have not had any pen and paper. I may be among the only privileged people in this room that has pen and paper. For the rest of you, we decided to make sure that everything is digital, because we are talking about everything sustainable. So please scan the QR code that is on your table. For those of you that are facing challenges, there's also this. As you do the scanning, it will lead you to 3 places. One where you share your details in terms of name, workplace, organization, and the other details. And the other that it will lead you to is the program that we are launching today, the Sustainable Finance Curriculum. The third thing that it will do is to share with you a link to the photographs that we will have today. So it's important that you do that so that we can move in tandem as we run through this program. Having said that, this conversation comes in very, very handy of sustainability. For those of you that are keenly watching, but also are residents of Kampala or nearby, or you come to the city, quite often you are aware that in the recent 1 or 2 days, we had clear indicators of what a flood can look like. Especially for those of you that have not interacted with a flood. I'm sure that for us that have friends, that have business colleagues, we now know what floods is all about. So this conversation comes in handy where we are talking about finance that lasts generations, but also making sure that we have finance that not only protects today, but the needs of tomorrow. And that's why I think the leadership of this country keeps saying that we need to protect the gains. Without any further ado, allow me first share with you the video of the Sustainable Finance Curriculum, and then we'll move to the first speech that should be able to welcome you officially and share the modalities as we proceed. The video, please.
Introducing the Sustainable Finance Curriculum, a tool designed to help shape and deliver impactful training in green and inclusive finance. Developed by ABI Finance in partnership with the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, this curriculum equips training institutions and financial sector actors with the skills to drive sustainable growth. It provides practical guidance on integrating environmental, social, and governance principles into lending, investment, and everyday financial decisions. Through these principles, financial institutions can invest in initiatives that protect the environment, uplift communities, and grow Uganda's economy responsibly. The Sustainable Finance Curriculum, building financial knowledge, skills, and competencies for a more sustainable future.
All right. As you have rightly seen, developed by ABI in partnership with the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services. Please join me in welcoming the CEO of ABI Finance, Mona, to come and speak to us.
I'm unfortunately going to let you down because I have carried with me pen and paper in the era of QR codes and tablets. But you said it was a privilege, so I'll stand on that privilege. And thank you very much for the very elaborate and accurate protocol list. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all very, very welcome. And on behalf of my colleagues, I'd just like to thank you for honoring our invitation and coming out in the numbers in which you have and for the attention that you are paying us. We're very delighted in partnership with the Institute of Banking and Financial Services to welcome you to this momentous occasion where we launch this green finance curriculum. Many of you in the room have been with us over the last decade and especially over the last couple of years when we partnered on this journey to go green, to green our financial services sector, particularly focusing on the agribusiness sector, our smallholder farmers, and our agribusinesses. Together, we are very proud that over the last decade, we have reached 2.2 million farmers, 70% of whom were women, have created 300,000 jobs, have disbursed about 175 million, and in those jobs and with what we have done, we've been able to create about 154 million in additional revenue. So that is really from the partnership with all of you. This certainly would not have happened, and while Ibrahim, you talked about a protocol list, it would be remiss of me to not in a special way recognize our shareholders who've made it happen. And I'd like to particularly recognize and thank the Royal Danish Embassy, who will have an opportunity to speak from where all this started about 15 years ago, and we thank you very, very much, the Investment Fund Denmark and the European Union. Without their investment, without their partnership, without their visionary leadership and their commitment to this country and the sector, none of this would happen. I can as well focus as well on our board, which is led by our chair, Felix Okoboy, who will come and speak to you. And alongside him is Michael Mugabe, who is the board chair as well for the Institute of Banking and Financial Services. The governance that you both provide, the governance and leadership that you both provide to these institutions must be recognized, and we thank you very much. Because together we've been able to achieve all this. Now getting a little bit into the curriculum, and I won't get into too much detail because Goretti, the CEO for the Institute of Banking and Financial Services, will come and do it justice. I just wanted to speak a bit about the rationale and why we get into this. Again, it starts with the sector and the regulator that we have with us, Bank of Uganda, that is right now represented by the Executive Director Supervision, Mr. David Kalyango. And any player in this sector is very much aware about the ESG framework that in partnership, again, with the Central Bank and with Uganda Bankers Association was developed and launched about a year or two ago. And this curriculum comes to strengthen the work on it. It provides a framework on which staff, management, and leadership in any financial services player in this country can focus on and build capacity of the people that will be delivering the financial green finance that is required for the sector. So the work that we have done has revealed a very clear insight, and which is there's already commitment to sustainability, which is strong, but there was need to build institutions' capacity to integrate sustainability, ESG principles in a very structured approach, which helps embed it in lending and reporting frameworks. So together with the Institute, our knowledge partner, we looked to close the gap by developing a curriculum that would not only build capacity, but also inspire a sector-wide shift along long-term green finance within the sector. So it provides a blueprint designed to equip the sector with the knowledge and the tools that align especially to the reporting frameworks and to the implementation frameworks. It draws on global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, while anchoring itself in national priorities like the Vision 2040, especially where we have the ATM strategy, the National Green Growth Strategy, the National Climate Finance Strategy. And through this initiative, the sector's capacity to mobilize green finance, inclusive finance, and support resilient enterprises will be further strengthened with a focus on women, youth, refugees, and underserved geographies like northern and eastern Uganda. Would like to thank all our partners, starting with our regulator, the Central Bank, as well as the Apex institutions, Uganda Bankers Association, the Association for Microfinance Institutions, our knowledge partner, the Institute of Banking and Financial Services sector, the Climate Finance Unit at the Ministry of Finance and Planning and Economic Development, as well as all sector bodies, even in the academia, who sat with us and worked with us to develop this curriculum. To the teams and experts and consultants, your work is very much celebrated, and we thank you very much for the technical support, and we're counting on you to further roll out and popularize and disseminate this curriculum. While it has been developed with the Institute of Banking and Financial Services sector, it is open to all. And indeed, part of the QR code and even on our website will make the curriculum available to the entire sector, and it can be drawn on and worked with by any player that wishes to, because indeed the work to deepen green finance is still immense, and it cannot depend or rely on just a few players. It cannot be just the work of ABI Finance or the Institute of Banking and Financial Services sector. We need more hands on deck. We need more partners, and so we're democratizing the knowledge to ensure that there's widespread dissemination and understanding and implementation of green finance. We will continue to work with the sector, because next steps now, after we've launched the curriculum, is to get into the module development, as well as its dissemination, as well as its further enhancement. There's need for additional feedback after it has been tested. It's a very live document that needs to take into context the context and the evolution within the sector. So this is in no way the final version of this. We'll continue coming back to you, and probably there'll be additional launches, version 2.0, version 3.0, and with more partners to ensure that it continues to be relevant and is meeting the needs of the time. We will collaborate with you, partners in the room, and any other partners that we can find on this green inclusive journey. We remain committed to working with the government of Uganda, the regulators, the Ministry of Finance, and all of you, our financial institution partners. We remain committed to Uganda's economic transformation, especially the 10x growth that is our ambition currently in Vision 2040. And we continue to thank our regulator, the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, and Economic Development for their continued visionary leadership that results in a very stable monetary policy environment that allows us to carry on our work as per usual. I'll end again by acknowledging and thanking our shareholders, our board, and our leadership, my colleagues in management and staff, All you are partners for your work and commitment to this sector, and we look forward to doing a lot more with you. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it one more time. I think that's a clap that is befitting for Mona, but for the partners, can we give them a bigger clap? So I want to thank you very, very much for giving us these remarks that you have shared. Pardon me, in my protocol list, I skipped an important partner who is a knowledge partner, because the Institute of Banking doesn't survive alone. To do what you call capacity building for the sector, for the country, you need a number of partners that share a wealth of knowledge. Allow me to recognize the presence of the Insurance Training College. I saw the registrar here. Let's also appreciate their presence this morning. In the same spirit, the Institute is nothing without its trainers. The trainers bring a wealth of knowledge, and for these ones, because they play a critical role, I want to request the trainers of the Institute to stand up for recognition, because without whom we would not have really developed this curriculum. Yes. Yeah. For some of you, you're seeing a lot of men. It's not that we are not gender sensitive. They are females. The females have just not come. But we want to thank you very much for making sure that we are able to build this curriculum to a level that it has arrived. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I have now the privilege to invite our board chair from the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, who also doubles as CEO of Housing Finance Bank. Please join me in welcoming Mr.
Lately, I've been given my privileged role in different capacities as Vice Chair UBA and Chair Institute of Banking and Financial Services. I've been placed in the platform to appeal to us, especially members of the banking fraternity, as stewards of financial resources, as leaders that direct the flow and the collection of money, to be more intentional challenge the appreciation to ABI Finance for granting us an opportunity to develop the sustainable finance curriculum, and all stakeholders that have contributed to the successful development and launch of the green finance curriculum. Your confidence in the Institute reaffirms the critical role we play in nurturing knowledgeable and responsible workforce. This achievement marks the culmination of months of hard work, collaboration, and shared commitment to advancing sustainable finance within Uganda's banking and the financial services sector. It is indeed a proud moment for us as an institute, and Goretti knows, Goretti the CEO knows that I am proud as a chair for us to be making this milestone. And the journey is still for, in fact, if you ask me, work begins. And I'll be holding her accountable without missing words about her and the Tetoma, in terms of how we make progress. So as we deliver later another milestone aligned with our mission to build capacity, to strengthen professionalism, and respond to emerging global priorities that shape the future of finance. EDS Bank of Uganda, I must say that you've been part of the conversations that we have had as Institute of Banking and Financial Services and UBA, together with the Governor Bank of Uganda, and how he's been challenging us on sustainability. But I like the element of professionalism. We will not do this, we will not challenge, we will not take on this challenge unless we agree to embedding the amount of professionalism in the banking and financial services sector space. So for me, that becomes a very big aspect. We equally acknowledge with sincere appreciation the support and the visionary leadership of the Royal Danish Embassy in Uganda, the European Union, Impact Fund Denmark, whose commitment to sustainable development continues to enable initiatives such as this Thrive. Absolutely, thank you very much. We acknowledge the valuable input and collaboration of our sector partners, Bank of Uganda. I've already highlighted to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the governor has been very intentional and actually challenges us as UBA to champion this. The Uganda Bankers Association, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and other stakeholders, as you'll see in the remarks that will be amplified by the CEO of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, whose insights have ensured that this curriculum is not only comprehensive, but also responsive to the practical realities of our financial ecosystem. And Mona, if you had, it's about the ecosystem. I like the element where you highlighted that we will not restrict this to the financial sector stewards, that even those non-financial sector players are welcome to partake of the knowledge. It's about empowering our people. For me, that's what brings the difference. We cannot be so selfish as the privileged people here in the room that have attained education, that are privileged to work in the financial services sector space, to keep out. Uganda has embarked on an ambitious and inclusive strategy to grow the economy tenfold. That, no doubt, will embed inclusion. That, no doubt, will call upon several financial sector players to include more people into the financial services sector space. There are certain things we should weed out in this country that are told don't augur and don't speak well, that are an embarrassment to the financial sector players. That only happens, partners, in the room if we all agree. And so for me, the essence of ecosystem is very pivotal for us to determining and identifying the success that we are talking about. Today, as we celebrate this milestone, we also reaffirm our belief that sustainable finance is no longer optional. It is essential, absolutely. Through this curriculum, we are equipping financial professionals with knowledge and tools to champion responsible investment, to foster climate resilience, to finance Uganda's transition to a green and inclusive economy. And as I close, I'd like to allow me to thank everyone who has contributed to this journey, the government partners in the room, our colleagues at ABI Finance, the dedicated team of Institute of Banking and Financial Services, especially the trainers, and I think they have been introduced. I'd like to add, and all of you leaders in the room that are present here, for me, your presence is great testament, and for me speaks to the success we are all garnered for. So I would like to thank you all for your unwavering professionalism and the shared vision. If you ask me, for me, that's the big takeaway. For us to work together in this shared vision, to build a greater destiny, not just for Uganda, but for entire global space. Together, we've not only produced a curriculum, but have also built a foundation for a more sustainable financial future for our country. I thank you very much, and I look forward to us together reaping the success of this journey. Thank you very much.
Another big round of applause to our board chair. I see the table of development partners. I wanted to ask them if they know a place called Bwaise. Yeah. After the meeting, I can take you around so that you see the place today. And when it rains heavily, I will take you again so that you can understand flooding in Uganda. But for many of us, I am sure that we are alive and well to what happens to our different communities. When it recently rained, some of you, the cars you drive could not even move. But that comes out to say that the conversation we're talking about this morning is quite critical, because if it rained for 2-3 days, what would happen to our businesses? We saw the business community now everywhere. For the first time, even the informal traders now are busy focusing on who constructs on that big channel and who doesn't construct on the big channel. And it's purely because of the impact of climate change. And so that means that if we are not alive and well to these issues, it is going to majorly impact us, not only us, but everyone in the country. So when Mona or my CEO, Madame Goretti, stands here to say that this is not just an institute or ABI issue, it is a national matter. So that everyone that comes in, we have financiers here, bankers, microfinance institutions. How do we make sure that the finance we're giving out is that makes sure that we protect the environment and make sure that we can stay on what we call steady progress. After listening into the board chair of the institute, please now allow me to invite the board chair of ABI Finance to come and speak to us.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'll start off by standing on the protocol that the MC very kindly availed. So I'd like to welcome you all. I had actually also prepared paper remarks, but after the MC's submission, I just decided to leave Mona to be the only one who is still in the Stone Age. That's what board chairs do, actually. Just throw the CEO under the bus. So Mona, please, can you walk the talk? Welcome, everyone. Just reflecting on this event, I thought about the journey we have had. Sustainability issues are not issues that everyone understands. And I'm not sure that we understand them completely yet. And I guess that's why, for me, this is a momentous day. We need to get to a point where we train ourselves. We've been on a long journey with RDE, the EU, IFD now. And yesterday I had cause to reflect that each time I stand up to speak at an ABI event about sustainability issues, some kind of sustainability-linked event has happened. So some extreme weather event. I think the last time I stood up and I talked about the Kitezi, the buildup of methane gas in the Kitezi landfill and how that claimed many lives. We have been reading reports about the flooding of the Nakivubo Channel. You've been reading about how Hurricane Melissa has swept through the Caribbean. So, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. This stuff is happening more and more frequently. And I think most actors would agree, and I'm saying most because I know a few who wouldn't, but I shall not mention them, but most actors would agree that climate change is real and that it's affecting all of us. I had a conversation, and Mona knows this one time, with a relative of Mona's who was saying that, but how does climate change affect us? Is that our issue? And then just that afternoon, we were at an event where, poultry farmers were talking about how the rise in temperature was affecting their poultry yields and how many eggs were being laid. So it's a real thing. It's not some exotic disaster that's happening somewhere far away. It's affecting everybody across the world. And really, as I said last time, and I'll just repeat it, it should be the one issue that we can all agree and align on. And those are very few globally now. So I have just thought about the sustainable finance curriculum and the journey that it has taken. You know how it started, Paris Agreement, anthropogenic impacts on climate change, Article 21C, flows of capital towards low emissions, Article 6, which relates to issues like carbon trading, etc. And I was thinking, at that time, no one, so that was 10 years ago, and at that time, no one really knew how we were going to operationalize all the issues to do with combating climate change. And I sat back at that time and reflected 10 years earlier than that, I had started an MBA in the US. And it's the same issue. 2 weeks before I started the course, Hurricane Katrina hit the US. So there's a pattern that actually needs to be acknowledged and addressed. And I will tell you, none of us in this room are Gen Zs, I am assuming, except maybe Michael. The next generation is starting to call us out on it. You know, I talk a lot about sustainability and then, funny enough, drive a fuel guzzler at home, and my daughter calls me out all the time. So the next generation is going to actually save this planet because they will actually do the things maybe some of us, they believe some of us are only talking about. So I am excited about this, Mona and Goretti. How do we prepare ourselves to ensure that we understand how financing helps us combat climate change? And so I'll be looking forward to that. So before I continue, let me just start off by thanking you guys, especially the teams led by Mona and Goretti, for this taking the reins on this and leadership and developing this curriculum that's really going to move us forward. But I also want to thank Bank of Uganda for really owning this and taking leadership on this, and the Institute of Banking and Financial Services, because without that backing, it becomes very hard to move forward. I know ABI, we were very focused next steps on creating a taxonomy, and I think we walk the walk in the way you're supposed to walk it. The EU has been very active on this. Actually, very many, I interface quite a bit with some stakeholders on some projects in the US, and the EU has been very active on developing a taxonomy. You'll find the EU is ahead on issues to do with Scope 1 and Scope 2 reporting. Scope 3 reporting is a bit more problematic, but it's also something that companies hopefully in the future will be required to report on. And I guess most people who have followed the Scope 1, 2, and 3 will know that the value chain emissions, Scope 3, are actually the bulk of most companies' emissions. So And I remember, Mona, you remember I was doing a study on that, and it's a very interesting thing to follow. For financial institutions, it's a bit more difficult because for Scope 3, there's Category 15, which deals with financial institutions. And you find most people do not really believe that financing can actually abate or drive climate change. So it's important for us to really, as I see many financial institutions in the building. Sam, welcome. I'm not targeting you specifically, but and I'm very happy because financial flows are a huge factor in either driving climate change or helping us to abate or to manage climate change. So, and I just will end by saying this is for Uganda a relatively new initiative, but early on in my career, I worked very closely in Germany with a company that is very active in trying to tackle climate change issues called Hochtief. So I worked very closely with them, and I've followed them ever since. I have very many friends who still work there. And the last point I want to make is we have combating climate change or dealing with sustainability issues is not altruistic. Actually, for the companies in the room, there is proof that it actually drives your bottom line as well. And if you look at the Hochtief share price, 5 years ago it was at 65 euros, now it's at 240. So there is a direct link with, between being sustainably conscious and also being financially successful. So we started off thinking that we were doing this to better the planet and to save the planet, which is still the case. But there is actual shareholder and stakeholder value in trying to be a sustainable company. And many companies like Hochtief have taken a lead on this, have regular materiality assessments, integrated reporting, trying to get a handle on your Scope 1 and 2 that I talked about. So it is something I'm hoping, we don't have as much data as we would like to have to be able to get a handle on these issues, but I'm hoping this is the start of a journey that allows us to also do our part, as everyone should. So everyone, welcome, and I just want to, in the interests of managing stakeholders, because being a chair is a stakeholder management issue, I cannot conclude without thanking the shareholders for actually attending and for supporting us along this journey, providing the know-how, contacts, funding to enable us to kind of walk this journey that we're very keen on walking. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming. Am I supposed to invite somebody or? Yeah, I kept it brief because a good friend of mine once told me that CEOs give good information and chairs talk. So thank you, everyone. I don't know, am I supposed to invite someone or you'll do it?
Another big round of applause for Felix. Felix always finds a way, always finds a way. So thank you very much. While I was seated there, I said that for you to host an event like this, anyone hosting has to closely follow the event so that they can do a good job. Now Felix, board chair, ABI, I was following closely when you mentioned floods in Kampala. When you mentioned Chitezi, I was following closely until you reached Hurricane Milton, Hurricane Katrina. And then I had to go to Google to say, what is he talking about? Of course, now what made it worse is when you talked about anthropogenic impact. That's when you totally threw me off. But we want to thank you. I'm sure there are people moving with you in the room. Yeah, but me at that point as the host, I got totally lost. But thank you very much for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that partners in terms of knowledge and financing play a critical role. Please join me in welcoming our first partner in the European Union to share their remarks.
Good morning, everybody. I guess I will also ride on the very elaborate protocol presented to us by the Master of Ceremony. I am incredibly proud to be representing the European Union today and acknowledging the great effort that was put into developing the curriculum. I would like to say that, as Felix also mentioned, the European Union has been very committing to pursuing the green agenda, particularly also in enforcing it on the private sector and on the banking sector in Europe. And obviously our development cooperation reflects this approach also here in Uganda. So as the EU, we've been pushing very hard on the green agenda by, first of all, making sure that all our development programs include the green element in them, and all our support, or a big part of our support is directed towards greening the economy, particularly on the private sector development programs that we have in place, and we have quite a few. Secondly, we've also been working with the government of Uganda, and particularly the Ministry of Finance and its Climate Finance Unit, together with our partners from GGGI, to develop the National Green Taxonomy for the country, which was launched, I think, maybe a month and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 months ago. So I think that's another great achievement and milestone that has been reached in Uganda. We are also working towards more exciting elements of the mobilization of green finance for the country. For instance, we're working together with GGGI and the ministry on the issuing and the central bank on the issuing of the first green bond. And building the green bond framework for now. So I think it's a very exciting moment to also be launching the green curriculum, which is actually a systemic change that can be achieved. It's one of those issues which can actually lead to systemic change because everybody will have access to this knowledge, and as Mona said, you will be democratizing it. So I think that's a really very good approach, and we're very happy to be part of this journey with everyone, because indeed the lack of knowledge, and we've seen this also through our Uganda Green Enterprise Finance Accelerator when we started working with the partner banks, that there is indeed a lack of knowledge, and this curriculum can help break it, actually, or fill the gap. So yes, I'm extremely happy to be part of this event, and the work only starts now. So I hope everybody in the room, all the partner financial institutions, will take advantage and will send their staff to actually go through this curriculum, and will take action in this space of ESG. Obviously, we are also looking forward to further steps in the future by the regulator to reach reporting stage from financial institutions. So I guess that's the stick. But right now, let's focus on the carrot, which is there for us all to take advantage of. Thank you very much.
Is that a clap befitting of a funder? Having been a part of many events with the ABI, I've been seeing Christina. Even the first time she walked on the stage, I said, "What's the problem? Christina, get well soon." We are putting you in our prayers. But when you were coming to the stage, I kept asking myself that, have you started using borders? Because, sometimes this exploration thing, you can take it on another level. Let me take a border and tour around Kampala. Christina, don't try it. Yeah, it's not a very good idea. The rest of the things you can try out in this country. All right, please now join me in now listening to another shareholder, a key partner, a development partner for ABI in the Royal Danish Embassy. Join me in welcoming them.
Thank you, MC. Thank you, ABI Finance, for inviting us today. It's really an honor and a privilege. And of course, also allow me to stand on existing protocol while also recognizing a few key people. Of course, the Director of Supervision, Bank of Uganda, Board Chair of ABI Finance, Board Chair of Uganda Institute of Bankers, CEO of UEBFS, CEO of ABI Finance, of course, representatives from government, but first and foremost, leaders in finance and banking of Uganda. It's great to be here. Thank you. Did you know that this is the most important environmental and climate event of the year in Uganda? This one. You did know, and that's really great. I think that's the first step. Because next week we have COP30 starting in Brazil. Perhaps the most important COP since Paris, the Paris Agreement made in 2015. So leaders from all over the world, they will meet, they will see and check in, where are we? And we are not in a good place. The Secretary General of the UN 2 years ago said we are on a climate highway to hell. Unfortunately, we are still on that highway. We are looking for temperature increases of 2.6 to 3.1 degrees. Actually, today, UNEP, the UN Agency Environment, they will launch another report, and it will be very sobering information. And of course, in practice, previous speakers, they've talked about the consequences, and those consequences will even just increase and worsen. We've seen the floods in recent days. They are all over the media. It's preventable. Of course, not the floods. The rain will continue and it will intensify with the temperature increases, but it's possible to adapt. We've seen the mudslides recently. In the eastern part of the country, I was in Western last year in Rwenzori and saw the consequences of landslides and mudslides in Rwenzori Mountains. Communities that were devastated, displaced, and there are real human consequences. I met young women who have had to cope in very negative ways, now all being teenage mothers. So there are real consequences. And of course also we've seen dry spells in the north, we've seen floods in the south. So the consequences are real for people and for the economy, but of course also for you as a sector. We've heard about ESG today. Honestly, it's not really about ESG. It's about risk in your portfolios. How many of you are providing loans to the agricultural sector? Yes. How many of you are providing loans to infrastructure? Yes. Of course, the risks in your portfolio will only increase with climate change. So it's smart business, as the board chair of ABI Finance said, to invest in this framework. Why is this the most important climate and environment event of the year? I will talk a bit about that. 2 years ago, or was it last year, world leaders agreed that we should have a new climate finance target of $300 billion a year. This is funding that is supposed to flow from rich countries, high-emitting countries, to developing countries, countries like Uganda. And Uganda also has a national climate plan. It estimates the cost of being $20 billion. It's a big amount, but both the 300 billion a year and the 28 billion for Uganda's entire climate plan is actually what I would call small money. The big money will come from aligning financial flows from black to green. Actually, the 300 billion, it's only a tenth of the needs. So the annual needs are estimated to 3 trillion, not 300 billion. And those funds will only come if the financial sector in Uganda and globally are aligning their financial flows with the green needs. And obviously, this sustainable financing curriculum and all the frameworks it builds on, the green taxonomy was mentioned, that's really one of the, that can and should be one of the key drivers of aligning and directing financial flows for a greener future. And of course, it's very key. It's very key for the sector, as also my EU colleague said, to take advantage of this framework, of this curriculum, for your own benefit, but of course also for the country as a whole. Without this, there will be no tenfold growth or 10x growth. There will be no ATMs in tourism, in agriculture, in industry. So of course, I would really like to encourage you all to take advantage. Let me conclude by committing Denmark and of course Team Europe to continue to invest in this area, to invest in green economy. The Danish government's portfolio, actually 60% of that is directed toward green purposes. Of course, we have our crown jewel in Abbey Finance we are working with, which is green. We are working with GGGI. We are working with IFAD. We are working with Trademark. We're working with many partners where it's all about aligning our green ambitions with the development ambitions, the national development ambitions of Uganda. And I can certainly confirm that we will continue to do that also in the future. Thank you very much for listening.
Can we appreciate Adam one more time? Adam is the head of cooperation at the Royal Danish Embassy. Adam, Mona has challenged me to pronounce your other names that start with S, and kindly help me. Huh? It's okay. It's okay. I think you see I have tried, but it's difficult, and I don't want to do an error. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we are gathered to really just, like Adam mentioned, it's one of the key events that is very critical to this country, and not only at the country level, but also at the East African community level, because our contribution to climate will also affect the people around us and the neighboring countries. So to be able to understand the discussion this morning, please join me in welcoming the CEO of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, Mrs. Goretti Masade.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, all protocols observed. I do not want to go through one by one lest I make a mistake, but we want to really appreciate you for being here. As the Institute, we are really, really excited to be a part of this journey. Our excitement arises from the fact that it aligns with our mandate. Everything we do at the Institute is mandate, to professionalize the industry, but to also promote inclusion. What better way at a time like this to work on sustainable finance? I want to start by, of course, appreciating our guest of honor, the Bank of Uganda, very much for the encouragement, for the support that you give us along the way. Our partner, Mona, I faulted you for not saying it. This business of husband and wife only saying good things when they are alone is not good enough. Mona calls us cherished partner. So our cherished partner, ABI, Mutual Feeling, thank you so much for trusting us. And I want to always acknowledge the fact that our director, Shafi, made the introduction. And you know these things of courtship. You're introduced, and I think we've left him far behind. Thank you so much, Mona, for trusting us. And I want to thank the team from UIBFS, the trainers, the team, for doing an amazing job around this particular aspect. Before I continue, Tim, friends, the curriculum is just one aspect, even as I'm going to go into it. You see, we need to have behavior change. And for behavior change to happen, three things have to align. The knowledge has got to be there, which is the ability. There's got to be ability. There's got to be opportunity, meaning that the people in the room, once you have the ability, you have to create the opportunity. All the bankers, all the insurers, you have got to create the opportunity for this to happen. And then there is the motivation. I wonder where the motivation is going to come from. And that's why at the Institute, just the other day, we launched the awareness campaign. And I want to ask all of you to join us because it aligns with this. And knowledge, you can't have all those. You can't have motivation. You can't have the opportunity if you don't have knowledge. So I want to thank very, very much our funders through ABI for creating this opportunity. Now, let me take you straight to the curriculum. And maybe before I do that, let me recognize in particular the heads of the institutions in this hall that are going to make this possible. Thank you very much for joining us. I would like to of course, appreciate our chairman who just left for our board meeting. I want to appreciate the MD Finca, James Onyuta, in the house. I would like to appreciate the MD of BRAC, Mr. Moyo, and also a board member at the Institute. Thank you very much. I would like to appreciate the MD of Yugafort, Mr. Shafi Nambobi, a board member. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate the MD of Finance Trust Bank, Anna Kaonde, she's in the house. Thank you very much. And a council member at the Institute. I would like to appreciate Jackie from Amphio, another cherished partner. Thank you very much, Jackie, for being around. I want to appreciate the MD of KCB Bank, Edgar Biama, in the house. Thank you so much. A council member at the Institute. I would like to appreciate the ED of Stanbic Bank, Mr. Sam Mogeza. Thank you very much for being around. And the ED of EcoBank, Elizabeth Mwelinde. Thank you very much. Every time we've talked about this conversation, we are told if the top is not aligned, we are lying to ourselves. So I'd like to appreciate you for making sure that you come here to listen to this very important conversation. My presentation, please. So this is the product, the beautiful product of work. All right. For the journey, for the hard work that we undertook over a period of 4 months, I believe. And it is the Sustainable Finance Curriculum. Mona likes to say it is a global finance curriculum. I don't know how far true that is. I want to believe you. And the reason we did this is because many times when you looked at curricula around the world, it was either renewable energy, or it is in just financing, or it is just the SDGs, or it's just the monitoring, reporting, and, you know, they are all segmented. But we decided to have a comprehensive curriculum end-to-end so that, again, we can create that ability, a consolidated ability to undertake this journey. So it's a comprehensive education framework, and I think I've said that already. It's to equip financial service sector stakeholders with knowledge and tools to integrate sustainability in financial sector actors' operations and in alignment with national and global sustainability goals and standards, of course, including the SDGs. The objectives: deep knowledge and understanding, critical. Developing critical thinking and ethical decision-making, critical. As trainers, we know that first you can create knowledge and understanding. Critical thinking is a different matter. I think you know it. How in some cases you get, many times we are challenged. Our stakeholders challenge us. Oh, you challenge the graduates you get in your institutions. The knowledge is there. Where is the critical thinking? So the curriculum has been developed in such a manner that we develop critical thinking and ethical decision-making. And lastly, equip financial sector actors with the ability to apply. So it is not just, you will see along the way that there is knowledge, but there is also opportunity to apply. The target audience, financial institutions, of course. And here we are talking the whole range: banking, insurance, capital markets, everybody. To provide products and services, integrate ESG in sustainable finance and into operations, sustainability strategies to enhance profitability and reduce risks. I think that sounds more like music to your ears. There is a tendency to think that it's a tick-off. At the top, it may not be the case, but unfortunately, at the bottom, it is still a tick-off. I'll never forget a time we had the East African Banking School and we got a lady from Centenary Bank. We went all the way to Chikube or to Telinga, and she's like, for the first time, I've understood that ESG is not about my MD. Yeah. It's not about, and she's a leader in church. Rubaga Cathedral in particular. She said, when I go back, I'll go to the church and I'm going to talk to the youth. So friends, it is a serious matter. Investors considering ESG factors in their investment strategies and decisions. Regulators and government bodies, we know what they do. Policy frameworks. Corporations, SMEs, businesses, let me tell you, yesterday I was sent, and I'm sure you have seen it, a WhatsApp video of a lady who claimed she's an introvert, does her things silently, but she was coming. I think it's, yeah, it's a Mary who sent it to the group. You saw it. And she was coming out. So while we may talk about SMEs, corporates, even the micro businesses, everybody, this is individuals, this is youth calling us out. But it is important that they actually interface with this curriculum so that they can integrate ESG in their supply chains and operations. If you ask me, the people down there will now understand. If you gave this curriculum to them, simplified, they would understand better. They could stand up more for themselves. Uptake of sustainable finance, they will understand that I need to be insured. I need to be this. Only if they take this kind of education. Sustainability strategies, of course, to also enhance their profitability and reduce their risks. For the NGOs and civil society, promoting equitable, sustainable development, raising public awareness, very critical, and driving grassroots initiatives. Ensure that sustainable finance benefits communities and contributes to social and environmental justice. Accountants, in fact, if I go back there, there's another thing that is said, and I'm sure you all know it, leaders in the room. People don't do the things they are supposed to do because they either don't know what, they don't know why, they don't know how. So once all these things are together, then this will come a reality, particularly for the NGO and civil society. The accountants, of course, responsible for ensuring that organizations' financial statements, reports, and business practices align with ESG standards. And then sustainability auditors, verifying that sustainable finance initiatives are accurately reflected in financial reporting and compliant with regulations and sustainability frameworks. So these are the target audience. At this time, I'm looking down and I'm seeing Noah. And I'm reminded how emphatic he has been around ensuring that this curriculum is broad. Mona, allow me ask the room to also clap for Noah. Noah and the team, and Moses. Where's Moses? Noah, Moses. From inception meeting, the inception meeting, and the team knows that every time I was looking at the curriculum, I would say, the inception meeting said. I remember Noah said. I remember Moses said. I've seen Mona presenting. So you have really been, so when I see this and the entire scope, I appreciate you even the more. And they will tell us very proudly, we are supposed to take a course every 3 months, and there is no course we have taken that's going to be end-to-end like this. So again, thank you for challenging us. I hope you're happy about this. The journey. So the journey was long, but exciting. We had to have a mapping of existing material, so a lot of desk research took place. I remember Noah, Moses directing us to different resources. And we did go to look at what material does exist before we can continue to develop this curriculum. A gap assessment, skills, knowledge, gap assessment, and therefore training needs. We had key informant interviews, we had surveys, we had focus groups, and then we had a multi-stakeholder workshop. For everybody in the room, I know they are here, majority of them, I know they are here because they took part in this journey. It was exciting to hear from insurance, from capital markets, from the National Curriculum Development Center, from Makerere University, from Chambogo University, from Nakawa, from all these places, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Bank of Uganda, who were all in the room to just understand what this curriculum should look like. What they understand in terms of green finance and sustainable finance, and what the curriculum should look like. Of course, we went into curriculum development, and ABI asked us to ensure we have the required information with visuals, graphical learning aids, again, to make sure that we get to the level of competency, a trainer's manual, and knowledge, measurement, and evaluation tools, meaning that there are exercises in the curriculum that will ensure that people practice or they fully understand what's going on. Then, of course, we had curriculum validation. So we met at the beginning, and we came back after doing what we called a really good draft. We went to a multiple stakeholder workshop and had some really good tea and excitement. I'll never forget that. The excitement when we printed it out and people were looking at it and verifying. Remember the Bank of Uganda saying we are taking it back. And they took it back and got it through, I believe, different departments to make sure that it aligns. And we got all the information back from the different stakeholders, and then we had a final draft. But it was not over. We went into a training of trainers. Here we had subject matter experts, training institutions, the financial sector players, and interestingly, we still came up with more feedback, which we incorporated. And now we are here to launch the curriculum. So that has been the journey for developing the curriculum. But what did we find in the knowledge gap analysis? We established that 60% of the respondents reported limited knowledge about sustainable finance. So you can see there was somewhat knowledgeable at 35, limited knowledge at 25, knowledgeable at 40. And when we got deeper, you could see, because we went everywhere, we went to financial sector players, we went senior managers, middle managers, the lower staff. We went to even non-bankers to establish. So I was telling the team that that alone is a knowledge product that we need to disseminate. It is a rich product, but we couldn't have it here because today we are here to just talk about the curriculum. Now allow me to go to the curriculum. So the curriculum has 11 units. So there's a difference between a module and a unit. When you see 11 units, you think it's simple. So the entire curriculum is 96 pages. But I believe when you include all the content and build it up, it is likely to get to about 1,000 pages or thereabout. My consultants, true? True, about 1,000 pages. So the unit is a component that's got a lot of modules in there. And the first one is Introduction to Sustainable Finance. So the Introduction to Sustainable Finance module or unit is supposed to ensure that people understand, looks at the key terms in sustainable finance, looks at the SDGs, it looks at different applications. For instance, very many times you've heard about carbon finance, climate finance, green finance, sustainable finance. What the hell do they mean? And in one aspect, when you're going through a training, it's talking about climate finance. Where is the green? Where is the sustainable? Where is the carbon? So that is what it does for you to understand fully what that is. And then the SDGs. Many times, we prefer to take whatever is within our mandate, but you need to understand the end-to-end, understand where they're coming from. It also talks about the evolution of sustainable finance and where we are coming from, where we are likely to go. Then we go into environmental considerations in sustainable finance. This talks about the actual issues that we're talking about. Now here you talk about climate. And in there you talk about climate mitigation, climate adaptation, biodiversity conservation. You talk about the emissions, the carbon emissions, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, what kind of operations generate these emissions, to fully understand, so that when you remember we talked about critical thinking, so that when you go, for instance, to talk to a client, you can understand, you can talk about their emissions and where they are. You can talk about different aspects and how they relate with each other. The third one is social considerations in sustainable finance. And here we are looking at equity, issues of gender, and everything else, inclusivity and equity. Those issues are talked about in Unit 3, in the sustainable considerations for social aspects. Unit 4 is governance considerations in sustainable finance. And here you will be talking about issues to do with transparency, ethics. You're going to talk about the structuring, who is responsible for what, from the bottom to the top, the board, investors, and all those such issues. Then the guide to classifications of investment, very, very important. Again, this speaks to the ability. I remember that in the needs assessment, there was feedback such as, we do not know what is green finance. We do not know what it looks like. We don't know what is risky, how it's not. We don't know if it's profitable or not. But here we are talking about classifications. At that point, and that's why we say the curriculum is alive, at that point we were mostly looking at the taxonomy, the agribusiness taxonomy. But now there are many more. You know that we have a national taxonomy, and all different other taxonomies, global taxonomies, are also included in there. Then the sustainable finance products and services. This is a big one. Just to understand what sort of products there are. We talked about them already: loan, equity, grants, blended finance, the carbon markets, green bonds, everything in there. So you will get to understand the A to Z of the sustainable finance products that are available. Then we go to monitoring, reporting, and verification for sustainable finance implementation and utilization. And here, really, it's to ensure that we don't do any greenwashing. And there are many. So monitoring, how will you monitor the fact that there are actually monitoring mechanisms and reporting mechanisms such as the GRI and all the others that you know about that are global and at the same time local. Verification is critical. It's one thing to say that you're giving sustainable finance, but there are also international verifiers there, and I'm sure they are getting, I know, that there are certifications all the way down, that maybe there'll be people who want to just to certify as verifiers. So again, this is another place to actually get to understand what is involved. So there are different standards, and in fact here, it also shows you banks what sort of MVR should you use? Insurance, what sort of MVR should you use? Capital markets, what sort of MVR should you use? If you're just a business, what sort of MVR should you use? So it's a really elaborate unit. Then collaboration and partnership for sustainable finance. Again, I remember, I think in the same East African Banking School, Mona, I'll not forget you, you actually indicated and said, we can't do this alone. And I think it's very clear. That's why we are all here in the room. It's about partnerships. So this will show you how to collaborate, fundraising, resource mobilization, what is available, what's not, who is in Uganda operating in this aspect, who is there globally, and there are also a lot of resources that are referenced, so it's clear. Then technology and innovation in sustainable finance, the fintechs, AI for sustainability, and all those are different elements. And then sustainable finance theory of change. Here we are saying, what are the different elements, what are the ingredients that will make this work? And it also enables you to go back to your organization and say, what is our own theory of change? Because everybody will be looking at different aspects, depending on your strategy, but also on the areas that you focus on. And lastly, emerging issues. They are emerging every day. In fact, I was telling the team that I've looked at it this morning, and we need to review already. There are some aspects that we need to review already. So the emerging issues are constant. So let's talk about the, so that's the, can we clap for the curriculum? So that's the curriculum, now the trainer's manual. The trainer's manual has got, of course, this is a structure, it's got an introduction, it introduces the topic, a summary of what to expect during the training. And that is for each unit. And then the unit overview. For each of the units, you have the overview, which highlights the title of the unit, the training duration of the unit competency, what competencies do you hope to achieve or to impart, the unit objectives, and the learning outcomes. And then, of course, it's got the session plan, guiding trainer and learner activities for each session within a unit that ensures deep learning within the planned time. It also provides trainers' preparations. There are suggested materials to support the trainer delivery of the training and the general setup required to facilitate and transfer knowledge. There are trainer notes to guide the trainer on the focus of each topic. There are learning activities to make sure you have deep learning, assessment and evaluation to test whether people have learned or not, and different, you will choose what percentage for you indicates learning. Trainer reflections, and then tips for the trainers are also included. Then it's got appendices, glossary of terms, feedback from form template. Of course, people need to give feedback. Only then can we improve the curriculum or your training as you go along, and then resource links. So it's not just the curriculum. Let's also clap for the trainer's manual. So what's the next step? The next step is critical. I've indicated to Mona and everybody who cares to listen that this is a very beautiful document, and it can stay as a document easily. It will stay as a document if we don't go to the next steps. Design courses from the curriculum to address specific needs of the different financial institutions, and of course, their clients. Noah keeps saying we can do certificates, and I now believe you. We can do these 2 3-day certificates. We can do certified programs, certified monitoring, verification and reporting experts. You can do a postgraduate diploma, and it is also possible to do a master's degree from this curriculum. It depending very much on where you focus. So we are going to have to come out, exactly, to come out with different programs. And then, of course, develop various courses in the categories as I've indicated. Having said that, that requires investment. We need content. What you have here is just outline. The curriculum is an outline. You need content, researched content, verified content, comprehensive content for each and every one of these units, and it takes money. We need to review the existing sustainability courses to match current trends. Like at the Institute, we have several, 1 or 2, but of course now we need to match with all this, and so many others that you may have in your own organizations. Of course, revamp the learning center, the e-learning platform. In this case, we'll talk about UIBFS because, you know, sometimes when you are the cook, you likely know how to cook very well. So once we got the content, we need to digitize it. Digitization is critical because once you digitize, it becomes ubiquitous. It means that people can learn at their own pace, but you cannot digitize what you don't have, and that's why content is critical. Assessment for wider outline across borders. Carry out impact assessments to evaluate the impact of the curriculum in new areas, and of course train the new standards for sustainability such as IFRS S1 and S2. I know the ICPA is in the house, so we can collaborate on these matters and ensure that this is, again, ubiquitous. If that is also digital, it goes ahead a very long way to support. So this is the team, team members that were part of this as we went ahead. We could not have everybody's picture here. You'll forgive us, those who are in the room, but you know that you matter. We'll find mechanisms of showing that. Again, this was the TOT, where we were focusing on training on pedagogy and andragogy to ensure that indeed the curriculum delivers what it's meant to deliver. Our appreciation. Allow me to read everybody on this list. The Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Bankers Association and all member banks, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Ministry of Trade, Cooperatives and Industry, the National Curriculum Development Center, Insurance Regulatory Authority, Association of Microfinance Institutions of Uganda, the Capital Markets Authority, Economic Policy Research Center at Makerere University, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, SNV Uganda, Uganda Development Bank, Uganda Energy Credit Capitalization Company, Uganda Insurers Association, Uganda Microcredit Foundation, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority, then Insurance Training College, the National Environment Management Authority, Nation Media Group, and to our consultants, led by Jenaik. Jenaik and Patrice, kindly stand up for special recognition. We want to thank you very much. Dennis Chiyimba, please stand up for recognition. Dennis Chiyimba. Paul Mugera, please stand up for recognition. Henry Segawa, please stand up for recognition. Roland Jingo, stand up for recognition. Victoria Adong Abuin. Oh, thank you very much, Victoria. Cassius Musasira, stand up for recognition. He's not here. And Mujungu and, oh, that's Cassius. And Boba Linda. Boba Linda? He's not here. That is the team. Let's clap for them even more. And of course, for the recognition to the funding partners, FBI, thank you so much for sourcing right. I think you did. The Impact Fund Denmark, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, the European Union would like to appreciate you greatly. Thank you so much. And friends, that's the curriculum. Thank you.
Earlier, I have been saying, give another clap. For this person, because they are my employer and boss, give a bigger clap. So let me share with you a quick video of what Goredi just presented. The summary of the curriculum.
Introducing the Sustainable Finance Curriculum, a tool designed to help shape and deliver impactful training in green and inclusive finance. Developed by ABI Finance in partnership with the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, this curriculum equips training institutions and financial sector actors with the skills to drive sustainable growth. It provides practical guidance on integrating environmental, social, and governance principles into lending, investment, and everyday financial decisions. Through these principles, financial institutions can invest in initiatives that protect the environment, uplift communities, and grow Uganda's economy responsibly. The Sustainable Finance Curriculum, building financial knowledge, skills, and competencies for a more sustainable future.
I forgot to appreciate in a special way the lead teams at the Institute. The Director of Professional Development, Mary, please stand up. And the Registrar, Richard. Where is Richard? That man, that gentleman, he carried this. Thank you so much. With the guidance of the Director, we appreciate you greatly. Thank you.
Now, I have noticed while I was seated there, the privilege of sitting in front is that you're able to look at different faces. I think the breakfast we served was heavy, and it has scientifically affected you. So tell your neighbor, stand up. Tell your neighbor, stand up. Yeah. Very good. Tell your neighbor, let's sit. Yeah, let's sit, let's sit, let's sit. That's all. Yeah, Christina, that's it. Let's sit now. Okay. Thank you very much, the CEO of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, for taking us through the curriculum and what it looks like. So we are almost done with the program, but before we proceed, because of the impact of technology and what it does for our businesses, but also for our country, I have not been one that is recognizing individuals. I had skipped that this morning, but allow me to show you a very important gentleman in the room, and that is the board chairperson of the Financial Technology Service Providers Association, Mr. Vincent Tumwijushe. Please stand up for recognition. So for any one of you that is talking technology in the financial sector, please make sure you don't leave without that man's contact. Our CEO, Madame Goretti, said that the relationship between UIBFS and ABI is a cherished partnership. And I saw that when she was talking about it, she was very happy, enthusiastic, but equally was mourner. But at the back end of that story, for those of you who were in the room, what you may not know is that both the CEO of the Institute of Banking and the CEO of ABI Finance are married to Budonians. What would you expect? So at the back end, the Budonians, I think, speak and say, okay, just make sure you tell your wife to make things work. So Budonians in the room. Do we have some Budonians in the room? Yeah. So thank you very much. I'm sure that Mona is wondering where I got that information. I tried to dig a little bit. Before I move to our next part of the program, there is two individuals that were recognized. One is Noah. At least now Noah has made a mark in this community as a sustainability expert. Everyone who sees Noah say, green, green, green. Noah we know. But I want to show you this man, Moses. Moses, please stand up again. Yeah. Let's clap for Moses. Moses, I think this greening thing, you've taken it to the next level. Take your seat, but I don't know what, anyway, but it's a good thing. I think your employers are happy. The funders are in the room. Yeah, I mean, now you must imagine that your hanky is green. I think you've really moved it to the next level. But ABI has continued to shape the landscape, not only for the sector, but also for us as individuals. Lately, even me as Gava, I attend sustainability courses. And I sit there. Now we have one on sustainability reporting at the end of the month. I see Director Mary nodding her head. I'm going to sit in that class because ABI has really changed the narrative in terms of how we look at sustainability, but also environmental management. I've said enough. Now I want to move to our next part of the program, which is purely to listen to our guest of honor. And really, we can't talk about guest of honor without talking about Bank of Uganda. Join me in welcoming the Executive Director, Supervision, Mr. David Kalyango.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The previous speakers have told me to discard the paper, but I'm not yet done because as a regulator, this is my contingent plan. So while coming here, I was thinking about what if they hack into my phone? They can change the details in the phone, but they cannot change what is physically here. So I've therefore decided to maintain paper for the time being until I have a contingency plan. I want to thank you very much. Talking about schools, you've talked of Budo. I'm from Namiryango College. So if there's anyone from Namiryango, yes, you are welcome. You know, in Namiryango, we do things differently. We are not like Budonians. I'll explain the next time. So thank you very much. The governor is not able to attend. He's on some other assignments, so I was requested to deliver the keynote address on his behalf, and I'll do exactly that. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. We gather today not merely to inaugurate a curriculum, but to formalize a commitment that will define the longevity, stability, and integrity of the Uganda's financial ecosystem for generations to come. Bank of Uganda extends our profound appreciation to the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, ABI Finance Limited, the Uganda Bankers Association, our development partners like the Royal Danish Embassy, the European Union, Impact Fund Denmark, for pioneering this essential blueprint for change. This curriculum arrives at a critical juncture. The global financial sector is no longer standing at a comfortable vantage point. It is poised at a pivotal crossroads. On one path lies the traditional metric of short-term profit. On the other, the profound imperative of responsible growth and long-term resilience. Previously, environmental, social, and governance factors were viewed as well-intended add-ons or burdens on the balance sheet. This mindset is economically obsolete. In Uganda, our engine of growth faces formidable reckoning with climate change. As a predominant agricultural economy, where 72% of our workforce is rooted in agriculture, we are particularly exposed to the climate volatility. Unpredictable weather, prolonged droughts, and catastrophic floods are systemic shocks that erode livelihoods, widen inequalities, and jeopardize our stability. Research clearly demonstrates the cost of inaction. Without decisive climate-focused investment, our national GDP stands to contract by more than 3.1% by the year 2050. Sustainable finance is therefore not merely a development slogan. It is a fundamental economic necessity and a new bedrock of trust for our sector. The guiding question for every financial institution must evolve from, is this transaction profitable? To, Is this investment responsible and sustainable? Let me acknowledge both our achievements and our gaps. Our non-performing loans have declined to a 7-year low of 3.7%. Our banking sector core capital to risk weighted assets ratio stand at 25%, which is well above the 12.5% minimum. Uganda now ranks third in ABSA African Financial Markets Index 2025, affirming our leadership in the financial market development. Thank you. The appetite for transformation is evident. A 2022 Bank of Uganda analysis revealed that 22 of the 30 supervised financial institutions had begun offering ESG-related products. 22 out of 30. Yet the same analysis exposed the sobering reality. Not a single bank was performing environmental and social stress testing. None. Not one. This gap represents not just a regulatory blind spot, but a strategic vulnerability threatening the very stability we have worked to achieve. I now want to turn to that paradigm shift, the financed emissions. Allow me to introduce the concept that will increasingly define regulatory oversight, that is financed emissions. When your institution extends credit to a carbon-intensive client, you become financially connected to that company's greenhouse gas output. These are your scope 3 emissions. The regulator's calculus has changed. We now demand accountability for the impact of the capital we supervise. If you could consider this illustration, if your institutional lending comprises 10% of the company's enterprise value, and that company emits 15,000 tons of carbon oxide, equivalent annually, your institution's exposure, your financed emissions will be 1,500 tons. Institutions with high financed emissions face immediate risks. Difficult accessing international capital, exclusion from ESG investment portfolios, and the higher cost of capital. Conversely, institutions that measure, disclose, or reduce this exposure secure preferential access to global green finance facilities. What is our mandate, therefore? The task before every supervised financial institution is clear. We must move beyond awareness and achieve institutionalization. This means embedding ESG principles into the very DNA of the financial decision-making. Bank of Uganda, together with Uganda Bankers Association and partners, has provided a decisive ESG framework built upon four comprehensive work streams. Work stream 1 is on ESG governance, and this establishes board oversight, management committees, climate risk strategy, and accountability frameworks. While work stream 2 focuses on sustainable finance framework, where we define use of proceeds, project evaluation, green capital management, and impact reporting aligned with International Capital Markets Association principles. Work stream 3 focuses on risk management, where we identify, measure, and embed ESG risks into credit, market, operational, and liquidity risk frameworks, including scenario analysis and stress testing. Lastly, work stream 4 is on reporting and disclosure, and is about implementing transparent mechanisms aligned with the Global Reporting Initiative, Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, and International Sustainability Standards Board under IFRS S1 and S2. The regulatory requirements are equally clear. We've integrated ESG compliance into our supervisory processes through comprehensive guidelines for the management of climate-related financial risks that were issued this year. In April 2025, we mandated the implementation of IFRS S1 and S2, global standards that require comprehensive disclosure of sustainability and climate-related risks. We are building a legal infrastructure through the Global Master Repurchase Agreement with all commercial banks, and also launched the e-supervision project in October this year. We are not merely asking you to act. We are actively constructing the infrastructure required for you to succeed through a three-phased approach: readiness, preparation, implementation and rollout, and continuous improvement. This infrastructure comprises three critical pillars. We have the National Green Taxonomy launched in September this year, and this defines which economic activities qualify as environmentally sustainable, preventing greenwashing, and guiding responsible capital allocation. The National Climate Finance Strategy mobilizes and tracks climate financial flows across our economy, aligned with Vision 2040 and our nationally determined contributions. The Green Bond Framework enables the government and corporates to access international green markets, lowering the cost of capital for the sustainable infrastructure. If I turn to the curriculum, we regard this as a catalyst for transformation. This curriculum we launched today equips our financial professionals with the knowledge needed to lead this transformation. It addresses the full spectrum of sustainable finance competencies across 11 comprehensive units, as we have been shown, from foundation concepts and ESG considerations, through green taxonomies and sustainable products, to monitoring and verification, technology, innovation, and emerging issues. Significantly, this curriculum targets not only commercial banks, but also Tier 4 institutions, such as SACCOs, microfinance institutions, fintechs, insurance companies, investors, regulators, and civil society, reinforcing our vision of inclusive growth. And when looking at the delivery model, that is 4 months of intensive study with 60 contact hours through blended learning, culminating in a certificate in sustainable finance that signals market competence and commitment. What is our promise? It promises resilience, competitiveness, and purpose. So institutionalizing ESG, therefore, delivers three critical virtues. Resilience. By quantifying and pricing climate risk, portfolios become more resilient to systemic shocks. The curriculum comprehensive coverage of risk identification and stress testing provides the foundation for financial system stability. On competitiveness, we see that global capital flows are shifting. Institutions embracing this framework position themselves to attract international investment, and those mastering these competencies will lead the market. When you come to the national purpose, this alignment fuels our greatest aspirations. Your financing of renewable energy, climate-smart agriculture, and inclusive enterprises is a practical mechanism for achieving Vision 2040, the NDP4, and the Paris Development Model. The call for action, therefore, is that the journey to sustainable finance begins with the knowledge, but knowledge alone is insufficient, and that progress requires, among others, the following: in-depth implementation by financial institutions, incorporating ESG criteria into lending decisions, establishing sustainable financial committees, integrating environment and social risks in audit and compliance frameworks, and linking executive compensations to ESG performance. At the board level, commitment and accountability, we expect that boards must integrate climate risk into risk appetite statements, embed ESG in credit policies, and demand regular ESG reporting. On continued partnership and capacity building, particularly for smaller institutions serving communities most vulnerable to climate shocks, development partners have demonstrated what partnership achieves. We need sustained technical assistance as global standards evolve. The Bank of Uganda, therefore, remains committed to fostering a conducive regulatory environment for collaboration, providing platforms for dialogue, and structured learning as we build a financial system that serves prosperity and the planet. In conclusion, as we build for the future, to the bank executives here, embrace this framework, incorporate it into your strategies, champion it into your boardrooms, and embed it within your culture. The future for finance is one where profit and purpose are inextricably linked. To the professionals undertaking this training, you are the architects of Uganda's sustainable future. The competencies you master position you as leaders in the most consequential transformation our sector has undertaken. To our partners, ABI Finance Limited, Uganda Institute of Bankers and Financial Services, the Royal Danish Embassy, European Union, Impact Fund Denmark, and Uganda Bankers Association, your visionary commitment demonstrates that meaningful change is possible when diverse stakeholders unite around a common purpose. May this curriculum inspire a new generation of financial professionals, not to just manage money, but to manage impact, not to just pursue growth, but to sustain it, not to just measure returns, but to measure responsibility. Let us build a financial sector that is not only robustly profitable, but also principled, purposeful, and profoundly sustainable. I believe we can, I believe we must, I believe we will. Thank you very much for your attention.
Can we give our guest of honor a big Director David, you have done justice in representing the governor. And I want this audience to give you a big, big clap for doing a good job. I took a bit of time, but I like how you ended as the governor. I believe we must and we will. I think that was a very, very good message. I captured a bit of that, and of course you encourage institutions to embrace the new curriculum, but also ensure they embed it in their culture. And it's a calling for all of us to see how we steer the boat forward. Now, before we get to the launch, first of all, let me request this team to bring their launch pad here. Yes. So that now we can prepare for the launch. But as that is happening, allow me say that this particular person I am going to recognize, we get into a principle of egg chicken. I don't know what institution came before the other, but this institution is a sister institution to ABI Finance. I don't know how they gave this job to ladies. Look, as much as we fight for inclusiveness, some things, some things you take very far, inclusiveness. I don't know if this is guided by ABI or the Institute, but let's clap for these two ladies. Yeah. But if you have handled this with ease, you'll handle marriage. Things will be very simple. Marriage is not for the weak-hearted. I've been there for 3 years. I now can make testimony of... Yeah, this is our launch pad. I needed to first make sure it lands safely. But before I proceed, allow me to recognize a sister institution to ABI Finance. This is the CEO of ABI Development, Bwana Moses Nyabela. Please stand up for recognition. Moses, it's important that I inform you that both the CEO of ABI Finance and the board chairperson recognized you but also informed me that you will come in delayed because you have other meetings that are also critical. But we thank you that you made time to join us. Now, it's also important that before we do the sign-off, there are people that have been cooking in the back end. Where's Maxine of ABI? Maxine, where are you? Yeah, Maxine is shy, but she likes to do things back end. Maxine is over there. Let's clap for Maxine, head of comms and advocacy. When you talk about this event, there are the people that have been back end cooking it from the end of ABI. And from the side of the institute is Director Christine Birungi. Yeah. At the institute, we call her Everready Supercharged. Any day, any time, she will put up an event. Director Christine, we want to thank you together with your team. We also want to thank our social media team that is behind there, trying to make sure that the conversation moves beyond this room. We are now at the part where we really close the event. We had slated to finish at exactly 10, which is just a few minutes too. So at this point in time, allow me invite the people that are representing different institutions who are going to officially launch this curriculum for your adoption. And with that, I want to start with Governor Bank of Uganda, here represented by Director David, to please come. I want to invite our development partners who provide financial support and technical guidance in the European Union and the Royal Danish Embassy, the representatives to come. I want to invite the board chairperson, ABI, Felix. I want to invite the CEO of ABI Finance, the CEO of UIBFS, I want to invite the representative of the Uganda Bankers Association, I want to invite Director Shafi, the CEO of UGAFOD, to represent our board chair. I want to invite the people who have been really, for starters, I'll invite the representative of Makerere University. I don't know if they are here. The representative of MOBS, I don't know if they are here. Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The consultants, Bwana Jingo, I'm sure you know who has been the team leader. Please send me your team leader. I'm sure I'll call the entire team, but first send me a team leader. All of you have been big, but you have one who has been bigger. Send me the biggest, whether male or female. This one is the biggest. Yeah, okay, I think in terms of the knowledge is the biggest. Yeah, it's important that I also invite Director Mary, who has been at the helm of this. Let me start with this because now the stage is getting smaller. So this beautiful madam has been telling me that the unveiling, you raise the curtain, you don't pull, you throw it behind. You can, yeah, we can center it. You need some? I come and give you manual labor. People they paid to do this job, come. Everyone will pay for their money. You will earn it, center it, extend it to the other side. Yeah, this is how you'll know that money is difficult to make. Mona, is that good enough? Or I can tell them to carry it up? It's okay, ladies, you can go. Okay. So on the count of what? On the count of 5 to 0? Is that okay? Okay, can I request that we all count at the same time, and when we get to 0, we can stand up, clap, and then we really officially launch. Is that good enough? Tell your neighbor we stand up. Tell your neighbor we stand up. And we start counting from 5, 4, until we get to 0. When they hear 0, they will put the thingy behind, and then we should be able to now start officially signing. Is that okay? 1, 2, 3, enter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So as the signing takes place, we can take our seats as they sign. The National Curriculum Development Center, I do not know if they've arrived. Okay. I want to also invite the key partners, the Insurance Training College. I've seen the registrar, but I've also seen Hajat. Please come. Send me one person to join this team. The Insurance Training College are key partners at the Institute, but also played a critical role in terms of making sure that we align and ensure that the curriculum is inclusive for the entire financial sector. Can we clap for Hajat, representing the Insurance Training College? Hajat, thank you very much. Okay, is that it? Hajat, let me help you with that marker. All right, let's take this first photo. Our photographer. Yes, Felix smiling. Good. Can we clap for the team that has launched? Okay, so on the stage, let me stay with the board chairs and then the CEOs and the funders. The rest, and the guest of honor. The rest, let me release you. Now, the funders, please stay. Board chair UIBFS. Director Shafi, please stay. Now, allow me invite the users of the curriculum. They need to also come. Otherwise, we are talking about the curriculum, but if the users do not append the SIG, it's going to be difficult. Allow me invite CEOs and MDs here present to come. I see a number of them. The moment you know that your title has CEO or MD or ED, please come. If it doesn't have, don't come. Even when you're the one who is representing the institution, you don't come. Hey, because then they will ask you, your MD will ask you, who told you? But if your MD told you, go and represent me, then come. People, can we clap for the top leadership of the financial sector players? Can we clap for them? First, wait, I need to make sure that the photographer has done his part. So the moment your employees don't come, we shall come with this photo. Thank you very much. So the other team, let them stay. The CEOs and MDs, thank you very much. The rest of the team, please stay. Mona, please stay. CEO Yuga Ford, representing our board chair. Director Shafi. Final photo. Now let me invite the core team that played a role in developing this curriculum. The entire team from the Institute ABI, consultants that played a critical role. Richard, this is when you come. Director Mary, this is when you come. The core of developing this curriculum. Otherwise, if you had not put in the midnight shift, we'll probably not be here. Can we clap for these ladies and gentlemen for a job well done? Find a way to fit. If you can see the camera, it is good enough. Where's the photographer? People, that's a TikTok video. Yeah, TikTok. So now the photo. Very good. So now I can release everyone to go back and take their seats. Okay, so this is it. But before we close, I want the team, please come and move this at the extreme. Move it so that I need to use this screen to make sure that they can see the QR codes again. The first QR code is going to be for feedback. Extend it to the other side a bit. Right there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we need to get some feedback from you in terms of the event. So I'm going to request that we scan this QR code for the event. And then the other, of course, is going to be to pick some thoughts in the next 5 minutes so that we can be able to wrap up. Can everyone scan this QR code, please? So with that QR code, you should be able to share with us some feedback. And I'm also sure you should be able to get the QR code that has all your photos that you can use beyond this room. I want to be sure that everyone has scanned this QR code. First, go back to the previous one. Yes, that one is for the feedback, just to make sure that everyone has scanned. If your phone is failing to scan, please ask your neighbor why. They should be able to guide you on why it has failed. That's the QR code for feedback, because feedback is breakfast for champions. And so we want to use this breakfast, this feedback for us as the Institute of Banking and Financial Services, together with ABI, to make sure that we do our best as we serve your institutions. It's important that, yes, it links you to the website, but scroll down. Scroll down, you should be able to see the links now that take you one to the curriculum, the other that takes you to the photos, and where you can be able to provide feedback. It's also important that I remind you that your data must be switched on. Because I'm seeing some of you say, it's not working, it's not working. It's not possible that it's not working. Okay. There's also Wi-Fi for those of you that have not switched on your data. The other that I want to request is for you, please share the next one for photos. And that one for photos, we'll leave it there to make sure that you can be able to scan and pick your photos. So before we close, do we have any one of you who wants to share feedback, one or two comments in terms of feedback for the event, feedback for the curriculum? Any one of us that wants to share? Yeah, two things must have happened. You want to share? Okay. Let me get the microphone. Please move the microphone there. You introduce yourself and then the feedback that you're giving us.
My name is Vincent Tumwejuche, chairperson of FITSPA, the Financial Technology Service Providers Association, and CEO of FutureLink Technologies. I just wanted to take this opportunity to move a vote of thanks for the thoughtfulness about content for talent development in the financial sector. And I think this is really a very good development as we think about sustainability in the wake of donor aid cut and reduction, that we think about sustainable inclusion. And on behalf of the technology providers, we are more than grateful to ABI Finance, the partners, and everyone that has made this possible. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Very good. Anyone else? Yes. Teacher, I expected your hand to come up. Teacher Gure.
Very good morning to you all. My name is Kathy Adengo. I hold two capacities as the chairperson of the Uganda Bankers Association Sustainability Committee and also head of sustainability at Stanbic. I'm really here to re-echo what he has just said. This is commendable, and a round of applause to ABI and to the Institute and to the funders. This is going to be very fundamental for the banking sector, so we're very, very excited about it. Trust me, it is the next agenda item for our committee meeting to ensure that in the coming year, it is definitely one of the courses and the curriculums we undertake. So I just want to commend the partners, the teams who have been behind it, and just know that all the banks are looking forward to ensuring that we implement this and skill ourselves. So thank you.
Okay, this should be the final hand that we have this morning.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Otuko from Centenary Bank. I happen to be the sustainability manager at Centenary, but also serve with Kathy on the sustainability committee at UBA. First of all, I would like to commend ABI and the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services for this commendable job. I think they've done really, really great. And I mean, interacting with the other banks in the UBA, especially the ESG or Sustainability Committee, you can clearly see that there is a gap in knowledge in how people are appreciating what sustainable finance is. So for me, this is the right, it's a step in the right direction. And if we all appreciate it and then take on the courses, and I mean from our side, we are committing really to take on this course as Kathy has put it. Because for me, this is going to take us way far. And I thank very much whoever has put their hand in this, their effort in putting this together. And thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to be sure. Kathy, did you sign? I called for UBA and you didn't come. No. You will hand out to the back end. Okay, because I called for UBA and you were there and... Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can we rise? Can we rise? You know, there's this clapping, but there's also this clapping from left to right. So from left to right, you're thanking your colleagues on the left, and to the right, you're thanking your colleagues on the right. Can we do that clapping? Very good, very good. Can each one of you exchange your right hand on friendship to your neighbor and tell them thank you for attending the launch of the Sustainable Finance Curriculum, and let the work begin. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, from ABI Finance and from the Institute of Banking and Financial Services. We thank you very much and have yourselves a beautiful day.